So I got about 15 minutes to cover a bit more about ASO and how you can help this room to hopefully make your app more noticeable. Now, a bit about ourselves. I CMO of LabCave. Thanks for the introduction again. We have been developing apps since 2013, and I'm going to show you these. Let's see if it works. There you go. That's the results that we achieved in the last year or so. The truth is, however, when we released our first game ever back in 2013, it was a flop. Not a single person, almost no one downloaded it. So we had to find out ways to actually get users to download our games. And when you don't have money, you come up with clever ways to do so. And that's what brought me here today to speak to you a bit more on how we achieve the results of LabCave and how you apply what we learn on LabCave to your app. So notice how this is the number of downloads that we got, and both in Google Play and iOS. You can see that it goes up and down. While it fluctuates because there are algorithm changes. And when this happens, everything goes to crap, because we, as app marketeers, we have to figure out what has changed in the App Store in order to get those organic downloads again. So what happens here, it happens to every single one of you guys sitting in this table. If any one of you tell me that you know what Apple or Google is going to do next in the next 6 months, well, we got to talk, because we couldn't figure out yet, but it's really hard to work it out. So now we had GummyCube explaining to you guys a bit more about ASO. I think just to make sure that we're all here on the same page, just give you a bit more of a insights on what it is if you've never heard of that before. App Store optimization, ASO, is, as we understand it at LabCave, trying to achieve as many organic installs as possible through two different means. The first one is improving the visibility of the App Store. That is, how likely it is for someone to go on the App Store, look for a keyword, and finding your app. And two, which is more important to me, at least this year, is about optimizing your conversion rate. Now that you got your user attention, how easily is for them, or how likely is for them to actually tap on download. And now you will see on the right side, I highlighted two different factors of metadata, which I highlighted in purple for one specific reason, and on metadata, which has to do with the stuff that is on your App Store page. Now you will see there that they're a bit different. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about those, but at the end of this presentation, I will give you a few bullet points that you can just look into. Now, why ASO is important, you have many factors here. The one that I want you guys to focus on, I know you're busy with your emails and phone calls or messages or whatnot, but the only one that I want you guys to focus on is this one here. Search traffic, according to Apple, accounts for about 65% of the downloads. Now remember this 65%, because we're going to go back to these in a couple of more slides. Now, I can talk the talk and tell you about ASO and how well we do at LabCave, but I do believe that it's with case studies that you can actually showcase what ASO is and the result that it can bring to your app. Now, I'm going to talk about games because I'm a game developer, and most of my clients or partners that we help with ASO are indeed game developers. We help as well non-gaming clients, but the key takes and the learnings that they're going to show you here can be applied to every single other vertical. In fact, gaming is the most competitive one, so if you can just learn from this, I'm sure your app is going to do way better. Now, I'm going to show you what we do CRO-wise, conversion rate optimization, some insights on what we applied at Zombie Frontier 3, which is, as you guess, is about killing zombies, and how hopefully you can apply these killing zombies to your app. So that's the icons and the screens that we had when we started working with them. There is nothing wrong with this icon. Nothing originally wrong to say, oh my God, this is awful. But the truth is that when we talk to their user base, we know that they like to play realistic games that feel like real life. So, first thing, we're going to change the icon, make it, feel more realistic. They like to play with special teams, like special forces, like SWAT team. So then, on the icon, instead of having a random character, we're going to put SWAT team. They like to fight big bosses. Well, guess what? Instead of having random zombies, we put a big boss there. And then we just test different screens. We come up with we're going to do several iterations of the same screens and icons. I'm going to talk about it in a few more slides. And then we come up with the winning variants. And as you can see, these are the same ones, just different order. And what I'm showcasing to you here, guys, is that C, which are the same screens, just different order, provides an 8.42% increase on organic installs. That is, I'm taking the same screens that you have right now, I just swap the order around and improve my organic installs by 8.42%. Now, if you knew about these or you haven't tried before, that's an easy win for you guys to actually just get a bit more installs on there. Now, about the results that we achieved with these icon changes and doing the SWAT team and the zombies, yada, yada, yada. So right here, this bump here, that's when we did the first icon change, which accounts for about 20-some% increase on the number of visits. And here you can see this massive spike on the blue line, which by the way are visits. That's when a featuring happens. And even though they increased by 1,000 times the number of visits they got, we still maintain somewhat the conversion rate. I'm saying somewhat. I'm going to show you in 2 more slides what happens when the App Store or Google gives you a featuring or an editor's choice. But it's impossible for anyone to maintain the same conversion rate, improving or increasing dramatically the number of visits that you get. That's impossible, so just take it out of your mind. But what you can do, however, is minimizing how much the conversion rate is going to drop, and therefore how many more installs you're going to achieve. That's for Google Play. Now keep in mind about the yellow lines. These are iterations. You're going to see something interesting here, because on iOS, we don't have as many yellow lines. So what we do at LabCave is we take the learnings from Google experiments. We apply these learnings. Since you don't have to update the app, you only update the App Store page. We update those. The winning variants are the ones that afterwards we can apply to iOS. Same principle, but after a couple of iterations, you can see here how we went from 2,000 installs per day to up to 5,000. So that's only thanks to CRO. Sure, they had a featuring, and we improved their metadata, but what I showed you 2 slides before, this is how you translate into getting more installs. Now, I told you guys I'm going to show you what happens when you get an editor's choice or Google or a featuring. And that's with Lords Mobile, another partner of ours, by IGG, iGot Games. If you never heard of them before, they're one of the biggest developers in the space. So, it's a pretty big gaming company. But as you can see, the massive spikes that we have here, that's what happens when you have, and in this instance, it's an editor's choice. So everyone in this room probably dreams about having this happening to their app and going to their boss or to their wife or significant other and say, I got a featuring, got an editor's choice. But the truth is that if you have not been working on your conversion rate, this massive spike on visits will not translate into a spike of installs. Why? Because the spike I have from an average of 20,000 visits per day up to over 270,000 more visits per day, the number of installs doesn't increase that much. And that's because my conversion rate is going to drop no matter what. If you have not been doing your homework, you have not been doing the testing on your icons and your screens, by the time you already had this spike, it's going to be too late. You have to do your CRO before this is going to happen, because everyone is going to give you high fives about, yo, we got a featuring, but then you're going to look at the numbers and it's like, oh, we didn't get that many downloads. And that's what's going to happen to every single one of you guys if you don't do CRO. I'm telling you because we had it happening to us at LabCave. So it's not an easy fix, but you're going to keep that in mind. Now, things to consider for 2019. Now I got a bit more of your attention. There's a clear shift from search to explore traffic. Now you're going to remember, I told you guys, from all that slide, just remember the 65% from Apple search ads. You remember that? Yes, there's some noise. That's good. It's been 10 minutes, so it's good that you remember. So we did a study at LabCave. We analyzed over 37 apps on Google Play. And guess what? Instead of seeing search traffic as the main driven from downloads, we studied was Explore. Over 67% of the apps that we analyzed had traffic coming from Explore instead of search. And guess what? From all the traffic, 60% of the installs were coming from Explore. So Apple might tell you that 65% of their installs come from search traffic. I'm telling you, for the apps that we analyzed at LabCave, it's the opposite. So you have to, guys, focus on CRO, what your icon looks like, how your screen looks like, rather than your metadata. It is important as well, but Explore, we believe, has a heavier weight in 2019 and moving to 2020. And now I have this question here, but if someone here in the audience can answer me, I would really appreciate that because we don't know the answer yet. If I have someone going to the App Store page looking for an app, and then they see my app showing up on similar apps, and then I tap on that similar app, and then I download my app, do I count as search or do I count as browse traffic? Well, I don't know the answer, but that's a segue for me to present you this bullet point here that is really important to work out what are your similar apps. So if you can use an ASO tool, or you can just take a screenshot of this URL here. You're going to change this for just purple bit for your bundle ID, and this for your language if you want to try different languages in the store. And that's going to show you the similar apps that, when a user goes to your Google Play Store page, similar apps, this shows you who are your main competitors. Guess what? You can do this as well with your main competitors, so you can see, this guy is stealing most of my traffic. Let me see where I do show up from their similar apps. Because as I showed you just a slide before, over 60% of the traffic that we analyze at LabCave comes from Explore traffic. So you want to make sure that you show up somewhere there. Now, a couple more bullet points. I'm worried that I'm going to run out of time, but from these 3 points, the one at the bottom is by far the most important one. It's more about 2019, 2020 ASO. It's more about the install frequency, the ANR, which stands for app non-responsive. That is how many crashes you get, focus on your recent ratings, and so on. I'm saying this because Google is offering these many benchmarks and insights within their console. That's not because they feel like doing that. That's because they want developers to focus on these specific items. So we have some red flags, and you know that, oh, I have a lot of crashes on this device. Get on it because your ranking is going to be affected dramatically by it. And now, another thing to consider for 2019 is that you might be using one of these tools or several of ASO tools. That's a table done by the guys at Feature. But it showcases that there is some sort of a discrepancy based on where your app might be ranking. So a lot of you guys, and it's fun, you are really worried about where your ranking is at and who is top 1, top 2, top 3. Well, the truth is that even perhaps the tool that you're using might not be showing the reality. In fact, I encourage you guys, get your family and friends, just look for the same keyword and see if you get the same results. You will be surprised that not always you get the same results on the App Store page or Google Play, so just food for thought. And now, just to wrap this up, you've probably seen, and we're going to talk about, as you can see, a correlation between UA and organic traffic. You've probably seen things like this. Like the guys from, nothing against these guys, great companies, yada, 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 but that's what they have on their blogs, and that's what I'm feeding myself on. So Branch, they state that for every paid install, they get an average, or they see an average of 1.5 additional organic installs with a 95% confidence level. And StoreMaven, they don't go that far, but they say that there is a correlation of a 0.69, but there is this correlation can fluctuate. There are factors that account for. What we did at LabCave is we did another study where we analyzed just 3 apps because it takes a lot of time to do that, but at least I'm going to give you guys an idea of what happens here. Everyone tells you that there is a correlation between paid and organic traffic. Well, I will show you now the reality, or at least what we found at LabCave. And the truth is that for the first app that we analyzed, sure, there was a big correlation between install and paid traffic and organic traffic. We, by the way, apply a Pearson coefficient, which is a clever way to state from -1 to +1 what's the correlation like. The closer it gets to +1, the higher it is. If it goes below 0.5, it means that it's a weak correlation. So the first one, we saw a pretty significant correlation, 0.71. But the other 2 apps that we analyzed, there was no correlation whatsoever. So which take us to the conclusion at LabCave to, we analyze these apps and we realize that actually you have to do your own research. Doesn't matter what Branch tells you, doesn't matter what StoreMaven tells you, doesn't even matter what LabCave and Rick tells you here today. You got to analyze your data. And in fact, I encourage you guys to do it with your own app. Just go back to your office or home, just grab ideally your last year of data, account for seasonality, account as well for different countries and channels, as things can change by country and by channel, and then plot data and see, all right, I ran a campaign 3 months ago, does it translate to an increase in organic traffic? And try it again, what happened 6 months ago and 9 months ago, and so on. You might be surprised in the results. And actually, it's really, really, really hard to state a specific correlation between any app download or app install or UA and organic traffic. The answer is it really changes by app. So I do really encourage you guys to do your own research. And I think I'm going over time, but I'm going to drop it finally with this one. It's the ASO checklist. If you weren't paying attention, which I believe that most of you guys were, but if you weren't paying attention, now is the time to take a picture. That's the last slide, by the way. But there's no secret sauce whatsoever. But if you are somewhat lost in ASO and you don't know where to start, or you're one guy shop and it's like, oh my God, this is so confusing, so many things, just take a picture, try to work one by one on these bullet points. I can guarantee you that if you invest 1 day a week on these, your organic traffic is going to dramatically increase. And with that, thank you guys for my attention. I'm going to be around today, but feel free to send me an email with more details. Thank you.